And slowly open the eyes.
I want to give thanks to your wonderful tools that are transforming my life. And my question is, why do we manipulate and why? How to stop?
You know, we manipulate because we're immature. Manipulation comes from the ego. Why? Because we think love's external. And we think we have to compete for love. And when we're small, we learn these behaviors. We're always looking externally. And we're always looking to receive more love. But it's just a place of immaturity. And as we start to mature, and we start to let go of our ego, and we start to find our internal divinity, and we start to mature, we put away these childish ways. You know, when we're small, we feel unprotected. You know, I always talk about the ego being like the eagle shell of the egg. Yeah, and it's protecting something that hasn't grown. But at some point, in order to reach our full potential, which is our divinity, we have to break that shell so that we can take flight. So all of these behaviors, you're going to see them. This is why we have this process. We see our childish ways. We see how we hurt ourselves. We see how we manipulate the outside because we don't feel good enough. And then we go beyond that. Most people never go beyond it. Most people live eternally in victimism. They never take responsibility, and they never try to embrace their internal greatness. But people that are very brave, like us, decide we want something more. We want to let go of the mundane. We want to let go of what's safe. And we want to challenge life and find something that's eternal, that's permanent, that's unshakable. And that's when we decide to become the consciousness, to become the love. And this is why the process is so confronting, no? Because we're literally stepping into the unknown. You know, everything else you can see. But with consciousness, you have to take the step before you can see the truth. You have to let go before you can find something else. And it takes a lot of courage. A lot of courage. So that's why. I can't even remember the question now, but that's why. Es por eso. That's what happens when you live in the present moment. Oh.
Every time I receive the appreciation from somebody, it's as if it comes into one ear and leaves through the other. I don't keep it. My question is, how can I open myself to be able to receive really that appreciation?
You know, there's a place where you don't think you deserve it. But more importantly, you don't trust it. You think it's false. It can't be true. And you're not conscious of this. But there's this automatic defense. And you're not stopping to be vulnerable enough to allow it to enter. Because you're afraid. But if you stop, but really stop, and allow that to come in, and allow that to vibrate internally, you're starting to open to receive love. And yes, you go beyond that as well. You don't look for external appreciation because you're loving yourself so much. But in order to go beyond something, you have to embrace from the very beginning. You can't miss a step. You know, to be divine, you have to be human. To love, in the highest form of love, you have to take the risk of normal love. You have to go through many steps in order to open for the divine. You have to have the human experience. You know, many people try to jump from here to here, but they negate life. They run away from life. And without the experience of life, you can't open to something more. It's a process. So it's about stopping, see that automatic rejection, and again, like anything else, I turn it in. I turn it in.
During many years, I had insomnia. And this exhausts me physically, headaches. And now that I'm here, I was not able for one day fall asleep while I'm unifying. My question is how I can surrender to the insomnia.
Well, you're unifying. And it's taking you into a profound depth of being. And it's healing. Just surrender to that. You know, stop attaching. I need to sleep. If you're unifying so deeply, it's having the same effect. It's healing you on a very profound level. On a cellular level, on an emotional level, on all levels. And just see that. Stop worrying. People don't sleep because they worry. They're anxious. And one of the biggest things that insomniacs worry about is not sleeping. But it's true. Oh, I didn't sleep. Oh, I didn't sleep. Focus on unifying. Forget about sleeping. Just go, wow, I'm unifying twice as much as everyone else. Que bueno. And just let go. Next thing you know, you'll be falling asleep. And then you'll be saying, oh, I'm not unifying as much as I used to.
I have my program that loves to fight. And I have a lot of resistance to surrender. How to move through that? Go beyond.
You have to see that you're fighting with yourself. It's a place where you're avoiding yourself. You're not going deep. You're not seeing the value of doing what you came to do. Like it's an example of insanity. You know, you come here to do a process and then you fight against it. But you know the process. I'm here and I'm fighting. You know, it's like you go into a Gucci shop and all you want's Prada. You know, it's like, it's the same thing. You know, you hop into the ocean, I want to go skiing. It's like this place of discontent. And you have to see that. You have to see that you're against yourself. You think you're against authority. You think you're against control. But you're against yourself. Because everything here is for you. That's how we've armed it. to serve you, to give you the best, but you fight against it because it holds you in a place of victim. And see this need to fight, because always underneath there's a profound need, a deep sadness, a deep vulnerability where you don't feel protected, where you don't feel loved, and that's always underneath that anger. So you're fighting externally, but deep down you're trying to protect something that's vulnerable. And you have to go into that something, because the fighting just holds you on the surface. And often people change who they're fighting with. I'm fighting with this one, oh now I'm fighting with this one, oh I'm okay with this one, now I'm fighting with that one. And then when everything disappears, they start fighting with themselves, because that's who you're truly fighting with anyway. So you have to let go, you have to trust, you have to go deep, and you'll find a profound sadness under all of that.
When we get to the surface of something very deep, how to dive into that and move through? And why is it so hard?
Because there's pain, because there's abandonment, because you have to take responsibility, and you're going into the unknown. That's why you're on the surface. So you have to feel everything. But you have to go in with the intention of letting go, and without a preconceived idea of how that will look. Because I see you're always wanting to change the outside, and you have to change yourself. We can never change the outside. We cannot demand anything from anyone. We have to take responsibility, and we have to heal ourselves. And that takes maturity. Most people skim on the surface and blame the outside and feel like victims. But you're going in now, and be happy with that. You know, you're expecting things like this, and it's not like that. This is a process. Letting go of something, going into nothing, allowing something else to come, something more powerful. It's like when you put a seed in the ground. You know, you don't see the flower straight away. You have to nurture the seed so that it flourishes. And when the time's right, it breaks through the earth and it comes to the light. And it's the same thing with us. You know, we're going through a process. We're in the earth. And at one moment the spring will come. And it's like that. Everything in life is like that. Everything.
I want to ask you, how to know when you're loving yourself unconditionally?
You won't have any questions. You'll know. It's an experience. It's not an intellectual thing. It's an energy. Unconditional love of self is an internal plenitude and peace. And then you start to perceive it externally, because you stop claiming the outside. It's something that's so clear. The person you most admire and love will be you, but from a place of joy and appreciation for your bravery and what you've gone through and how you've got to that point. And it'll be something very simple. It won't be something that's like this. It'll be something very normal. It will be something complete with a beautiful energy. And you'll know, because the judgments will have left. And that's the most wonderful thing. When all the judgments leave, and you're just simply at peace. You're not trying to prove yourself. You're not trying to win, or be better, or be superior, or feel special. You just feel normal and at peace and enjoying every aspect of life and flowing. It's not something you can't see easily. It's very clear, and it's a very high level of consciousness.
I would really love to be more gentle and more loving and more accepting with the people I love the most and with everyone. And I know I have to start with me, so my question is how to be more gentle with me.
Well, the facets are allowing you to let go of that exigence, because it's a place that's bubbling up from inside. Nothing's good enough. And that's because you're not feeling good enough. So as you start to heal and you start to find internal compassion, you start to stop projecting externally that discontent. You start to see through the eyes of love and appreciation. You know, when we don't love ourselves, nothing's good enough. We're not good enough. No one's good enough. Nothing's good enough. When we love ourselves, we feel empowered. And we push for empowerment because that is love. We're not pushing because we see something wrong. We're just showing in the mirror. This is hurting you. You're not being transparent. You're not being your true essence. You know, but it starts with you. Because when the judgments leave internally, they leave externally. You might notice that nothing surprises me. You can tell me anything, and I'm like, You know, nothing surprises me. Because I know myself so intimately. I know humanity so intimately. And it always starts with self. So you have to start with you. And that's why you're here. That's what you're doing. Yes?
I feel I am not satisfied with myself. And I do things to look for approval of people outside. I do exercise because I want to look in a certain way, so people approves me. And the same thing when I go out, my clothes is like to have that approval too. So what I want to know is, how can I live consciously through those experiences?
You know, you do all these things for you. And that will happen. To feel good, to look good, is you loving you. It's not because you're trying to conquer the outside or seduce the outside. And you have to get to that point. You know, just to be happy with you, to be the best of you. And that's responsibility. That's maturity. To push yourself, but in a loving way. To be the best of you. Not to compete, not to compare, because there is no comparison. Because no one can be you. This is the stupidity of humans. They all want to be in a little box competing. And everyone's climbing on each other's shoulders so that they can see out of the box. Look at me, look at me, look at me. And joy, completion is internal. It's just you being happy with you. You challenging you. And that's just turning back all the time. Because whilst there's comparison, there's always discontent. Because it's desire. There's something external that's better than what I am. And there's always that, if you want to compare. But there's no one that can be the best of you. Just you. And that might look very normal. But greatness is normal. It doesn't have lights. It doesn't have anything extraordinary.
How can I receive sickness and the possibility of dying as a teacher or as an experience? Que saber, no, it's not me, but it's a person I love a lot and is very young and is hurting and is being very hard for me.
You know, to embrace death is the greatest freedom we can have. And in order to embrace life 100%, we have to be at peace with death. And we have to know our true essence and know that that is eternal. Because we have fear of death, because we don't know the greatness of who we are, we're always suffering it, even with the theories. So we have to have the experience so that the fear leaves. And the experience is internal. So you have to look for that. And anything that challenges life makes us appreciate how important life is, what a wonderful gift it is. And we have to use these situations as gifts. Because yes, humans are vulnerable. Things happen. Things change. Look what's happening in the world. Look how we took everything for granted. And it's not like that now. We have to be careful. We have to, protect ourselves. All of these ideas because of something that's transpiring. So we have to start appreciating what we have. So how do I embrace that? By finding it inside of me. I have to find it inside of me. But it's not easy. Not when you're so identified with your body. Not when you're so identified with your human experience. It's not easy. Not when there's so much attachment. But once you find something permanent, you start seeing the perfection in everything, including death.
Can you tell me how to let go the huge expectations I have about the result of my 6 months?
So the thing is that when we let go of our expectations, that's when we find our divinity. That's when we open to receive the most important things, the unconditional love. When I left everything to go to the United States. And I had this beautiful property in Australia. And I thought, I'm going to become a teacher, and I'm going to go back to Australia, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to teach people there. And at some moment, I let go of all of my ideas and look at where I am now. I could not have imagined what was going to happen in my life because I could only focus on what I already knew, not on the unknown, not opening to the miracle. And this is what you have to learn to do. You have to open to the miracle. So let go of the control, let go of the expectations, and allow God. Because that's where all the magnificence comes. Because what we know, we know. But what we don't know is where the magic starts. And when we just let go of our expectations, the universe always has something bigger for us. But much, much, much bigger. So.
How can I do the step? To total responsibility. Because sometimes I see things I don't like injustice, lack of justice, the responsibility, irresponsibility, and the pride. And I say, I'm not that. How can I go towards that?
You know, the thing is, you can evolve beyond it. At some point in your life, you were everything. But you have to let go of the judgment. Absolute responsibility is unconditional love. Unconditional love knows self and has no external judgment. Don't negate anything. See yourself. And it's not rational, but there's no judgment. I know I could be unjust. I know I was arrogant. I know I'm violent. I know I can be greedy. I know all those things. And I see it as a place of immaturity from which I have evolved. And that's why with the facets, we move that stress. We have to move that stress. Because it's a judgment. And that's saying there's something wrong. And humanity's like that. I'm not like that. There I am, I'm arrogant. When you can say, oh yeah, I'm like that. Oh yeah, I was like that. Oh yeah, I can be like that. Oh yes, I'm racist. Oh yes, I'm prejudiced. Oh yes, I'm a snob. Oh yes, ba 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 ba. Without judgment, that's when you go beyond those things. But in order to evolve beyond immaturity, you have to embrace it. You have to see it. Because that which I negate is a blind spot. It's a blind spot. I'm not like that. I couldn't kill someone. Couldn't you? Seguro? We have unlimited potential under certain circumstances. Everyone's proved that. The most educated, the most phenomenal people have proved that. So just be open to the possibility that you're not as big a saint as you think.
I know that to take responsibility, we have to take all the outside inwards. And I want to ask how it works, the ruthless compassion. Because I associate compassion, maybe because my programs, to be nice, gentle, and it's hard for me to give a reflection a little more intense. But deep inside is love and no judgment. Can you talk about that? Ruthless compassion.
Well, the thing is, in order to practice ruthless compassion, it's an energy. And it has no charge. It's pure love. Because pure love can be fierce. But it has to come without a charge. So if you have that question, you're not practicing unconditional love. Because it comes with love. I can be very hard, rude, to shake, but it's absolute love. And you have to get to that point within yourself. It starts with you. It's having the capacity to see that within yourself and evolve beyond that. And always, every reflection you give has to move through you. Always you take the reflection through you first. And then you know it's clean. But if it comes with a charge, it's yours. You're not at the point where you can practice that. You're not at that point. It's like a surgeon's knife. It's very delicate. It has to only touch that which needs to be removed. It's not a butcher's knife. Do you see the difference? One's love, one's mutilation. So always take it through yourself.
I would like to know a bit more. How can I let go all the judgments I have, especially with my mom, my father, about another people, about myself? I don't know if it's to change, to let go all the ideas or all the messages I receive about myself that are not good.
Well, that's the whole process. You know, it's like you're baking a cake and you're asking me how to bake a cake. And you're about to put it in the oven. You're already doing that. It's exactly what the system's for. You think the facets, the stress comes up, you move the stress, you express your judgments. All of the system is exactly for that. And this is what you're doing here. All you have to do is do it. That's all. Yeah? But that's why you're here. I don't have some secret in my pocket, like a faster version, but I'm only giving to special people. You know, like, oh, this one can have the faster version. You've all got the same version. It's what I did. It got me to this point. There's nothing faster that I know of. Good.
The other day in the witnessing, you talk about the roaring silence. And I wanted to know about it.
Okay, so, you know, the beautiful thing about consciousness is when it becomes very, very deep, it's like you're inside a cave. And it's loud. The vibration's so strong, I call it the roaring silence, because you can hear it. You can hear the silence. But that's a process to get to that point. And that's what the facet's about. Experiencing that vibration and witnessing from that place. Witnessing the thoughts, witnessing the humanity in the world, but not of the world. Within, witnessing and without.
I would like to know more how it works, the creation. How can I create something that I desire
To achieve.
Because I don't teach people how to create what they want. I want you to create something much more. Desirelessness. A place where you're complete within yourself. And what you want is like an innocent child, without attachment, just an experience. But your happiness is not attached to that. I'm not going to teach you how to get the new house, or the new boyfriend, or the new car. I'm going to teach you how to feel like you don't need anything. And then everything will come. And if it doesn't, you don't care, because you're already complete. So you're asking the wrong person.
In the group, any group, I see that there is always smaller groups within the big group, where we start looking for people, where we feel well, where they have the same ideas and we relate. I don't know if it's through the energy. Within this process, how much that benefits or goes against the development of consciousness.
So have you seen my teachers? Have you? There's nothing similar. There's not anything similar except for a focus. They come from different countries, different educations, different financial situations, different religions, different ages, and we live in absolute harmony, and we love each other unconditionally because we're focused on the highest point, which is God or unconditional love. We're focused on enlightenment. So everything human becomes unimportant. It dissolves because what we're focused on is our greatness. And this is absolute harmony. This is like a mini world project. How we can all live in harmony and celebrate our differences. And the answer is, if we're all focused on love, if we're all focused on taking responsibility, if we're all focused on giving the best of ourselves. And this is how it works. But there's no separation.
My question is about thoughts about being special and needing to be special. And like, I'm trying to find like the fine line of like when I'm being deluded and when I'm self-appreciating, if that makes sense.
No. And that's what makes you so special. I don't understand you. You have to let go of this need to be special. Because we're all special and we're all normal. But when we love ourselves, that need to be special is a place where we're looking for attention. And people that love themselves don't need attention. You know, people think, oh, they're so famous, they're so rich, they must be so happy. But some of the most famous people in the world are internally the most needy because they're begging for attention. And even a stadium of attention isn't enough to fill the emptiness. So you have to let go of that. And it's the most freeing thing when you get to the point where you just feel normal and happy with that. Unique, different, but normal, because you're not even conscious. It just is. And that's freedom and maturity. And that's what you need to look at. Because you do have that. Wanting to be special, wanting to be different. But you'll grow out of that. I hope.
Come visit our webpage for books, movies, and our wonderful retreat centers. Isha's simple yet powerful system is transforming lives around the world.